Comedy, where we take the noble art of debating and argue the great conundrums of life. Where did we come from? How far can the universe expand? And is Ally McBeal the only human being whose eyes actually are bigger than her belly? Now, this week we're debating the motion, "This house needs therapy." Freud believed our psyche was primarily sexual, formed by pseudo-incestuous relationships with our mother and or father, a theory which later became known as Brookside. But should we reach out for help in life? Sticking up for therapy, the all-male self-help group, Steve Punt. Getting in touch with his feelings, Omid Jalili. And their captain, the fully centred Bill Iron John Bailey. Opposing therapy, deep in denial, are Felix, "No, I don't need help, Dexter." Rona, "No, I don't need my head examined, Cameron." And Ed, "No, I don't need you to point out my eating disorder, Bern. First up on the couch tonight, a man who thinks The X-Files is a documentary, Bill Bailey.
Now, people must think that therapy is a bit flaky. All that stuff about events in your childhood now recreating problems in your adult life. Like, you know, I went to Poland in 1978 and now I've got an irrational fear of towels. Every time I stroke a cat, I sing a selection of 80s hits. You know, "Oh, pussy, pussy, do you really want to hurt me? Oh, like a virgin, why?" You see, we'll all benefit from therapy. Men, especially. Men are very bad at talking about themselves. Early today, I tried to talk with a man about his feelings. So what do you think?
What do you mean?
What do you think?
About what?
You know, I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, do you think? Would you think would?
I suppose I'm involved now.
Yeah,
I'll give it a go. I suppose I.
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't. No. I suppose. Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't.
No, definitely. What is it? No.
What?
What?
What is?
That, you know, I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, you see, women are much, much better at talking about their emotions and problems. And men, we need help. We need help in understanding our own sexuality. I mean, what is it? What is the male sexuality? Is it a rampant lion? Grrr. Or... There's somebody quite frightened by that. Or is it a tiny little cowering stoat? Women's sexuality is like an owl. Very little is known about it. It's very mysterious. And it can only be observed through elaborately constructed hides. And sometimes it will swoop down and rip the head off an unsuspecting vole. Just going to the pictures is a stressful thing. You phone up the movie information line, it's impossible. "Hello, welcome to movie information. For movie information, press 1. For credit card booking, press 2. For 3, press 4. To try and remember the number you first thought of, press 5. Takeaway 4. For the hash key, press 7. For hash, press 8 and ask for the colonel. For forthcoming movies, press the star key, hold the phone over a pentangle, an old woman will come to your house and demand salt. Thank you for selecting movie information. But no, the problem is, we live in a fragmented age. We've got far too much choice. We feel insular, we feel cut off from each other. I feel totally strung out. I was in this hotel, and there was a snooze button on the fire alarm. Now... that is too much choice. I propose the motion. We need therapy. I thank you.
Thanks, Bill. It was brave of you to take that step.
Thanks, Joe. I really felt better about it.
Well, give yourself a big hug. To oppose the motion, Ed Byrne.
Right, I have not been set a very easy task, somehow trying to even imply that Bill Bailey doesn't need therapy. But psychotherapy? Nonsense. It is utter tosh. I have no need for psychotherapy because I had a very normal childhood. I had a very normal upbringing. For instance, I really fancied my mother. Oh, yeah, I wanted to sleep with me ma, something fierce, so I did. Oh, yeah. Oh, really jealous of me dad because he was shagging her and I wasn't. Obviously not. I'm only messing. I can tell by the way you shifted uncomfortably in your seats. None of you feel that way either. But see, this is it. This is Freudian theory. Sigmund Freud, one of the greatest psychologists ever, apparently, reckons we all fancied our mas when we were younger, right? I say we all did. Obviously just men. Women didn't. That'd be weird. Women fancy their dads, of course. What are you thinking? This way, I reckon, honestly, the Oedipus complex and the lecture complexes, respectively. Now, I don't know about any of you, but my ma's an absolute boiler. I mean, she's a lovely woman, don't get me wrong. Oh, a hound, honestly. Sorry. I think Freud was just a twisted freak with a good-looking mother decided we were all rubbish that psychologists come out with. Classic thing they do is they ask you questions, seemingly innocuous questions, like, what kind of animal would you like to have as a pet? They'd ask you something like that, and apparently it's supposed to say a lot about what you're looking for in a man or a woman. Like, apparently, it's like, you say if you're a woman, and you say, oh, I'd like an elephant, right? Oh, please, it's not that. No, say if you're a woman and you say, oh, I'd like an elephant because they're big and they're strong and they never forget anything. That's supposed to mean you're looking for a man who's big and strong and never forgets anything. Good luck to you, by the way. But me, I think it's just nonsense. For a start, I think it depends where you are in life. Because I know myself, when I was sort of 14, 15 and a virgin, it was like, oh, I like dogs because they're warm and cuddly and friendly and you can play with them. You know, and then I was sort of 18, 19, it was, oh, I like horses because they look good and you can ride them. Nowadays, I'm more sort of, I'd like a lizard because they don't take much looking after. You know? Basically, I think that the people who go in for therapy and go in for, like, having a... They're egotistical. And they always seem to think that, like, you know, everything that happens to them as a child, they have to now talk about it. See, this is the thing. Traumatic things happen to you when you're a kid, but that's part of you. It makes you who you are. And that's why I hate people who hit their kids, because it's wrong to hit children, because why hit somebody who's that open to psychological torture? What do you think about it? No, come on, if your kid's annoying you, and you hit him a smack, he'll be back annoying you 10 minutes later. If you turn around to that kid and go, well, listen, if you don't stop that, I'll give you back to your real parents. You've got a good 3 or 4 hours kick there. He ponders the uncertainty of his existence, right? You don't want him just reversing the damage you've gone and done, you know, 20 years down the line by getting a therapist. In the words of Captain Kirk, I need my pain. It's part of who I am.
Ed Byrne there, a man traumatised by his first sexual experience, not having happened yet. Now, people today are made unhappy by being bombarded with unrealistic fictional role models. For Bill, it's Lemmy from Motorhead. For Ed, it's a piece of string. Now, why do we actually need any kind of spiritual nourishment at all? Isn't just getting pissed and watching soaps enough?
I would agree with that, yes. Well, not the soap thing, but, you know, bottle it up. It's the British way.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Do you actually agree with Freudian psychology? Do you agree with it?
Yeah.
So you're quite obviously aware that you're actually having a sort of figurative oral sex at the moment?
No.
I just want to say that it's just really indulgent, and that years ago everyone was fine without therapy, weren't they? If anyone was depressed, they just went to the cinema and became an alcoholic.
I say it's actually more indulgent to burden your friends and family and your closest friends and all that with all your twittering, wittering, I can't get enough bran in my life, you know. And,
just stop wittering about your problems.
I don't have any problems.
Then why do you need therapy?
I don't need therapy. I'm advocating therapy as a very good way of solving your problems.
You've changed since you've been in therapy, Bill.
I feel so much easier.
You used to be fun.
Why is it when you go to the therapist, why does the geezer actually, like, sit behind you? What's he doing?
I think he's doing this.
Also, in Bill's particular case, he's wondering that if that pipe is a phallic symbol, why isn't there any smoke coming out the end?
That's classic sort of Freudian psychology, even the whole notion of phallic symbols. I can't stand this whole phallic symbol mania, because feminists particularly love jumping on the old...
Small penis,
metaphorically
Ed.
speaking. Well, everything like cars, you're supposed to be able to tell a lot about a man by the car he drives, because it's a phallic symbol.
Yes.
Which, if that's the case, then does that mean you can tell a lot about a woman by what kind of a garage she's got? Look at that lovely little garage, lovely girl.
Lovely.
Look at the size of that warehouse.
I've got a 4-storey car park. Our next guest had a classical upbringing. He murdered his father and married his mother. Now, please welcome Steve Punt.
But I want to argue, ladies and gentlemen, we need therapy, and we need therapy because modern life is unnatural and we haven't evolved to cope. The simplest activity becomes stressful, right? I went to Marks & Spencer's recently and all I wanted was some chicken for the barbecue. So pick it up, chicken. But no, hang on, look again. I look closely and it actually says chicken from birds allowed to roam on open ground in daylight hours. Immediately, what had been a simple purchase becomes stressful. What does it mean? What does it mean? Chicken from birds allowed to roam on open ground in daylight hours. What was wrong with it? I don't want to eat chicken that can't be trusted after dark. You see, we don't need to know. We evolved to hunt food, not read its biography. The opposition will probably argue that it's always been the case. We've always been sick, and to an extent, I wouldn't dispute that. We've already mentioned the Oedipus complex, based, of course, on a famous Greek play in which the hero kills his father and marries his mother, which was a stupid way round, because that way he had to pay for the wedding. But the Greeks... The Greeks thought that was a great night's entertainment because they were sick. Now, this is absolutely true. There's a Roman play, it's called Thyestes. It was written in Latin. And what happens at the end of this play is that one of the characters gets their own children served up to them in a pie. And they deliver the line, "Hey, who? Horribilis lacrimae filii mei," which the Penguin edition translates as, "Mr. Kipling, you bastard." But they loved it. They loved it in ancient Rome. It was their favorite because they were sick. But Shakespeare loved it too, and this was only 400 years ago. He loved it so much, he nicked it for a play of his called Titus Andronicus. But, ladies and gentlemen, you think we've advanced, but Titus Andronicus has just been made into a Hollywood film. We're still sick. Although, of course, I have to say, since it's Hollywood, they've given it a happy ending. You still get the pie, but then someone's phone goes and it's a 7-year-old on their mobile going, "Hi, we're in the pie. Love you." You see, we're sick. We're stressed. That's not good. So don't turn down help when it's offered. You owe it to yourself. Don't stay stressed. Support the motion. I have to go now. I'm only allowed to roam in daylight hours. Thank you.
Steve, have a nice sit down now. To oppose Steve, please welcome Felix Dexter.
Psychoanalysis has got to be the only occupation where if you've got a problem, you go to the expert and you tell them what's wrong and they charge you for it. Now, let's apply that premise to any other profession or occupation, right? You call out a plumber. He says, "What's the problem?" You say, "I've got no water." He says, "Why do you think that is?" You say, "I don't know, that's why I called you out." He says, "Well, think about it." You say, "I've no idea." He says, "What are you trying to hide?" You say, "Is it the stopcock?" He says, "Ah, Freudian." You say, are you a nutter? He says, transference. You say, get out. He says, denial. Unfortunately, you've still got no water. Listen to me. We know life is not a little basket of kittens playing with a big bowl of wool, is it? Life is about overcoming adversity. It's about being a winner, right, against the odds. I mean, how embarrassing would it be? Can you just imagine, right, if because of therapy, right, Lennox Lewis, instead of fighting, stood in the ring going, no one appreciates my feminine side. What they want from me is violence, violence. What about my watercolours, my pastels? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm imploring you, please, please, oppose the motion. Thank you.
So, is life just an Oliver Stone film, shit parts for women and you can't find any meaning? Did our two speakers convince any of you? It's a sort of 50-50 at the moment.
I think she's been very kind to you, personally.
I think you said something like revenge,
Yes.
is a primitive form of therapy.
Well, it makes you feel better. You take revenge on someone, it's cathartic.
No, it does work, because I went out with someone and they chucked me, so I killed them, and I felt...
Also, therapist is not the only job where you tell them what's wrong, because men do that every time they go to a garage. A woman goes to the garage, she'll say, car's broken, can you mend it? I don't know what's wrong with it. But men feel they have to say, oh, I think it's the alternator.
It's not really fair to say that women don't have a stab at diagnosing their cars at the garage, because I always do. I go, oh, it's making a big whooshing noise in that square bit. But, I mean, is suffering in silence a good thing? I mean, it may be preferable through a Christa Berg concert, obviously, but... Is suffering in silence bad for us or good for us?
The fact is, we've moved on from the, oh, you know, don't worry, dust yourself down, everything will be fine, tickety-boo, blimey. Oh, you know, worst things happen to see, blimey. We've moved on. You know, modern life is very, very hard, and men, women, across the board, dogs, cats, whatever, budgies, everything, all animals, humans, need to have some kind of outpouring of their feelings. They need to feel that they are being empathised with by other humans.
Well, that's what you go to the pub for, isn't it?
Can I ask my friends on the opposition, what do you think about drum therapy? I was in this place once in Australia, and it was an alternative therapy fair on, and it was just a sort of normal housewife women standing with someone just drumming round. Just drumming round her. Just drumming round her like that. Drum therapy. As people who are advocating therapy is a good thing. I want to know what you think about drum therapy.
When I get upset, I just stand around the house. I start going, do this, and that's good, and I feel much better.
I think that's ridiculous.
I employ a Filipino bongo player in my house. And every time I feel stressed...
Now, let's elucidate further, because our next guest has worked in Hollywood. You've seen him in The Mummy, you've seen him in Gladiator, and now the glamour that is BBC One. Omid Jalili.
I represent the East, and what I'd like to talk about is you know, most of therapies and philosophies, they're all connected with Eastern mysticism. And I know that growing up as an Iranian, growing up in London, it's very hard to integrate my identity into Western society. For many years, I mean, the name Omid Jalili is a very powerful Iranian name, and I used to be known at school as Desmond. Some weekends, Fatima, but we won't go into that. And the soul and the body are two things that are very connected, and they affect each other a lot. And certain things, certain emotions are expressed through physical manifestations. Like, for example, when I was a child and my mother used to haggle in McDonald's, I used to get this... I got this... Through the embarrassment, I got a stiff neck. I just had a stiff neck for about... And also, being in the typical ethnic minority thing where, you know, the pulling of the cheek was something that's traumatised me for many years. Through 5 years of therapy, I understood what it meant. Pulling of one cheek, apparently, through therapy, I've understood means you're cute. The pulling of two cheeks together means you're cute and we're related. And the pulling of the ears and lifting up off the ground is sadism. Yes, as an ethnic minority, machine gun laughter makes me feel at home. Please keep the laughter coming. It helps with the asylum application. But it's been very hard for the Eastern philosophies to integrate into Western society. We think we must spread our Eastern philosophies to the West. And you think, why? This is because in the West, people are actually very unhappy. And you think, why? This is because they drink, they take drugs, they don't care about anything. You think, why? Because they're actually very empty. And you think, why? This is because they don't have God. You think, why? Because they don't need it. You think, why? Because they're actually quite happy. You think, why? Because they drink, they take drugs, and they don't go down. So really, to sum up, what I really want to say is that as we live in a global society, therapy and spirituality helps you for everyone to get more into the contact with this concept of unity in diversity. Unity in diversity, which I'd now like to show through the spiritual connection between ex-British shot putter Jeff Capes and ham actor Brian Blessed. Two big men with beards. Ha! Gold medal! No! Same face, different activities. You see? So I am for the motion for therapy. Thanks.
Thank you, Omid, or as I know you better, Fatima. Our next speaker suffers from xenophobia, fear of Eastern religions, but doesn't want therapy. Rona Cameron.
We hate therapy in Scotland, and we like to deal with difficult subjects, difficult emotional complexities like sadness and grief by baking and drinking. So the bigger the death, the bigger the shortbread. So we are all unhappy and we are all miserable, but that's normal. It still doesn't mean that you need therapy. Now, the reasons why most people go to therapy, because they're unhappy. And here are some classic examples of why exactly they feel they need help. Okay, feelings of inadequacy and powerlessness. Don't waste time worrying about inadequacies. Secretly begin controlling those you love, subtly undermining others until you've eroded anything worthwhile in their personality. It's just much easier, more fun, and it'll make you feel pretty big inside. Keep busy and stay distracted. Get cable TV and a DVD player. Weave a rich fantasy life in your head. Develop ideas above your station. It's always been my favourite expression. I just wanted to get it in. Develop ideas above your station and distract yourself from morbid thoughts by becoming your own worst enemy. Basically, you know, you go to therapy, you turn into an emotional wreck, and before you know it, you're crying when cars pull into the ambulances pass. Anyway, therapists are always banging on about negative behavioural patterns. What's wrong with negative behavioural patterns? At least you know where you are with them. I don't need therapy, and you don't need therapy, and our audience, you don't need therapy. My friends don't need therapy. We don't need therapy when we've got this. I've got you. You like me, don't you? You like me? I look all right. You love me, don't you? You think I'm funny, don't you? I hope you do like me. Sorry, my inner child escaped for a second there. I absolutely beg you to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Rona. I do need therapy. Now, isn't therapy just common sense dressed up? Find your centre and think positively. Isn't that just pull yourself together? Or in sports psychology, you have a strong sense of your own limitations equals you're shit and you know you are. So the time has come, really, for Bill to unleash one final primal scream and sum up the case for therapy. Bill.
We all do need therapy. Yes, you may say that therapy is overrated and that feng shui is just tidy up a bit. But we do need therapy to get along. Men need it more than women. I'll tell you this, because women can express themselves far better and more articulately than men. If you listen to a woman talking about her feelings, it comes out very, very articulately, almost like medieval recitative. We
together, if we can form a strong bond of trust in our relationship, then we'll be able to live in peace, one another, in a relationship based largely on trust.
Now, now, a man trying that same thing would come out rather like this. You're great!
And now, I offer Ed a final chance to shed his inhibitions and make a plea for help. Will you take it, or will you still oppose the motion, Ed?
I feel that I've already put forward quite a decent argument. I believe my colleagues have helped me do that. I think we've all put forward a fine argument. What I'd like to do to finish off is just find out if Bill really does need therapy. And to do this, I thought we could play a little bit of word association. So I'll say some words, and you say the first word that comes into your head.
Right.
Okay? Spoon.
Chinchilla.
Cardigan.
Friend.
Keyboard.
Pride.
Hesitated a little bit too long there, but... anal.
Pride.
Well, I can tell you that you don't actually need therapy, but your obsession with pride leads me to believe that perhaps you'd actually rather be a lion. You don't really need therapy. I thank you.
This house needs therapy, yes or no? In best therapy tradition, we're going to put the question to the group. Our studio audience tonight are a good representative sample. They came here normal, but many of them are now suffering severe depression. So those of you who agree that we need therapy, hold up your Prozac. And those of you who think it's all nonsense, let's have a nice cup of tea. Vote now. Oh, I say. The winner is nice cup of tea and balls to therapy. My thanks to Rona Cameron, Felix Dexter, and their captain, Ed Byrne. And Omid Jalili, Steve Punt, and their captain, Bill Bailey. Good night.
Joe's back at her desk in 2 weeks, and Bill Bailey joins the regulars for Nevermind the Buzzcocks tomorrow at 9:30 on BBC Two. Irish Sea Air next tonight on BBC One, Fairy Tales.